The number one way to inspire change in someone's life is by sharing your story. Imagine if your story was the one in a million that someone desperately needs to hear. I'm Devin Schubert, and I'm on a mission to share 1 million stories across social media. And I want your story. It's time to take your story to the stage. And now, here's one of those stories.
My little boys, 2 and 4 years old, so innocent, boys that should have felt safe to be in the presence of their mom, looked at their mom with fear. The boys had been having a great day. It was fun. They'd been playing in the sandbox. Everything was going great until I put them in the tub thinking, what could go wrong? They're going to get cleaned up. They'll have fun. They can't make any messes. I'll get the sweeping knocked out, right? Always trying to get something done because I was always running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And I'll never forget coming around that corner to see seemingly more water outside of the tub than in. How does this happen every time? I think I'm getting picked up with one mess and I'm starting another one. And I would love to say that I handled it with grace and that I just cleaned it up, but I didn't. What happened next was a smack. I smacked the side of that tub with the broom that was in my hand, and it made a loud noise, and my little boys looked up at me. They jolted, their eyes looked up wide as saucers at me, and they were scared. And then I was a little bit scared too. And then I'll never forget that feeling of shame and guilt and regret that washed right over me. You did it again. You said you were going to stay patient. Why do you keep acting this way? Why are you showing up in a way that your kids are scared of you? They're just trying to have fun. They're little boys. Who are you? What kind of a mom acts that way? What is wrong with you? And as that voice started to speak to me and started to condemn me and fill me with more shame, I knew something had to change. I knew I didn't want to feel this way. And I knew that God didn't want me to feel this way either. And more importantly, I knew that I didn't want to be that mom to my little boys. I did not want them looking back and remembering that mom lost her patience, mom got mad, mom was overwhelmed, mom was stressed, whatever the case may be that I kept feeling. And I knew I loved being a mom. I loved it so much. But why did I feel so overwhelmed all the time? Why did I feel so stressed? Why couldn't I keep it together? Why couldn't I stay calm? And why did every other mom seem like she had it figured out and I couldn't get it figured out? And today, as a certified life coach for moms, I have learned that I was not the only mom that was feeling that way. I was not the only mom who was struggling to stay calm, to stay patient, to manage her emotions. I wasn't the only mom that was reading all the books, listening to the podcasts, attending the seminars, praying, asking, begging God to help me do a better job and be a better mom. But you won't see that on Facebook. You won't see that on social media. What we see is the highlight reel. It looks to us like everybody else has it all together. And the big problem with this is that we don't feel like we can share it with somebody else because we don't think they're struggling with it. And we're nervous to put ourselves out there and share it because we think we're the only one. But I want you to know today that wherever you feel like you're alone or you're falling short, maybe you're trying to break the cycle of yelling. Maybe you're trying to stay more patient too. Maybe you're trying to not wake up feeling dread every day. Maybe you're trying to show a little bit more excitement and joy and energy to your kids when you're trying to balance it all and do all the things and you're just feeling drained and you know you don't want to. That is actually more normal. You might think you're the only one, but I want to reassure you today, you might not see that message on social media, but you are not the only one. You are not alone. The majority of moms today are feeling some sort of mom guilt, which is feeling like you're not doing it right, feeling like you're not doing enough, feeling like you're going to mess up your kids someday, or feeling like at the end of the day, you just actually aren't enough. That's what's actually more normal. But again, you won't see that on social media. You're not going to see that out there because you only see the highlight reel. But I want you to know, although that's normal, I often say normal isn't serving us. And so, whatever you're feeling like today, I need you to know first that you're not alone. But I also need you to know what I learned. And I don't want you to take as long to learn it as what I did. I had gotten in this cycle of trying hard, learning the things, and then getting overwhelmed and getting stressed again and going through this cycle. And then I would beat myself up again. And I kept going through this. And it wasn't more to do that I needed. I mean, I think that we as moms, we have too much on our plates anyway. We don't need more to do. We need a couple little shifts that will change everything. And that's what I found. And that's what I want to share with you. It took me a few years to learn this, but when I was introduced to coaching skills, they changed my whole life. And the biggest thing that I learned when it came to something like this and how I showed up with my kids that set me free from that guilt and that shame was as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. I was able to see that I was believing a lie that had been spoken over me, planted in me years before, but I didn't know the damage until a few years after this incident, a few more years of this cycle repeating itself. I believed because somebody spoke over me, Jill, you'll always have the guilt. It'll always be there. Whether you stay home, whether you work part-time or full-time, whether you cloth diaper, whether you send them to preschool, whether you don't, whether you do sports, whether you don't, whatever you do. She said, whatever decision you make, you're always going to feel the guilt. And I realized that's what I was living. I was living the fruit of guilt. I believed I would always have guilt, so I felt guilt for everything. And the fruit of that was feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed, unable to stay calm, unable to stay patient, feeling like I was never good enough or never doing enough, because again, all of that was that definition of mom guilt to which I was living it to a T. And I was able then, when I learned coaching tools in combination with God's word, that's what shifted everything. Again, it wasn't doing more. It wasn't counting to 10. It wasn't putting myself in a timeout. It wasn't more self-care. It wasn't any of that. It was changing the way that I thought and believed and spoke about myself and aligning it with what God spoke to me. So instead of believing that I would always have the guilt, I started to try on things like I'm doing my best. I'm learning to stay patient. I'm learning how to stay calm. I'm getting better every day. And I grounded these thoughts and these beliefs with God's word because God's word won't return void. So I grounded them with things like, with God, all things are possible, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And what I found was I felt a whole lot different. I felt a whole lot lighter. I felt that overwhelm and that stress just seemed to be chipping away, and I was just feeling so much better about myself. And what that did was it was allowing me to stay more patient without even trying. Just changing what I believed about myself had me showing up in a different way. And this brought so much more joy. This brought so much more connection. And it brought me so much more safety with my kids. I was able to wake up feeling so much better. And it just changed everything for me. And I want that for you too, for you too. So whatever you're believing today, what lie is it that's holding you back? Is it that you can't stop the cycle of yelling? Is it that you can't stay patient? Is it that you'll always be overwhelmed or you'll never be able to balance it all? Those are all very common things that moms come to me with and say, Jill, I need help. I don't want to live this way. I don't believe this is God's best for me. I've tried everything. I've read all the books too. I've listened to all the podcasts. I've done it all, and nothing's changing. What we need to do is just teach you a few simple, proven coaching strategies in combination with God's word so that you can't fail. And so I would love to share these with you today. If you are ready to have more joy, more confidence, more peace, more patience, more calm, more fun and connection in your home and with your kids, then I want to invite you to do a free complimentary consult call with me. It's 1 hour, it's just me and you, and I will show you the path to get from where you are to that calm and confident and more patient self. So visit me at jillgoody.com and schedule your free complimentary discovery call today. I'm looking forward to talking to you.